whenever I sit down with someone who's an expert in this space, I'm like, there's a part of you that just gets more stressed because you go, oh God, I'm doing all the wrong things, right? Like, and I'm sure people are listening or watching at home or at work, or if you're traveling and you're going, gosh, I need to change so much. And I think that's kind of where our problems perpetuate, because we go, okay, I need to change everything. Mm-hmm. And then we end up changing nothing. And I think that's always the issue, right? When you feel you want to change everything, you end up changing nothing. Yeah. And as people are listening to this, like, where's a good place for someone to start? Like, and I'm sure you work with so many people who are on this journey. And I always say to people, like, I don't think we have, the real crisis we have in the world today is a crisis of habits and conditioning, because most people I know what they want to change, or know who they want to be, or how they want to change. They just can't make it through that path, right? They can't stick with it. So where's a good place for someone to start? If they're listening right now and they're saying, Dr. Will Cole, I can hear that I have a ton of those physiological and psychological challenges. I need to figure this out. Where does someone start?
I would first start with your headspace, because you do not have to be perfect, quote unquote. You don't have to have it all together to start making positive action in your life. And if you're waiting for the right time, it's now, because there's always going to be some reason why we should put it off. Mm-hmm. There's a vacation, a holiday around the corner. There's a birthday party. There's a whatever holiday around the corner. And that is, many people have that paralysis of analysis. Oh, I'll start at the new year. Oh, I'll start at this date. But the reality is, I find that there's exceptions to that rule of maybe there's a certain date within the next few weeks that's practical for you. But if you're looking at really putting it out in the calendar, I very rarely see people need to do that, because I need you to realize that how are we going to navigate through those times? Because there's always going to be something.
Yeah.
And I would really, what I say is just lean into it.
Yeah.
You don't have to have it all figured out. Mm-hmm. Because what I find is when you get the ball rolling and people get their head a little bit above water, they want to keep doing the things that make them feel good.
Yeah.
And they start to realize what I call in the book, and for my patients, I call it food peace and body peace, because I want people to not come into this wellness thing, whether improve their energy or improve their digestion or improve their brain health. I want them to see this as a form of self-respect, using self-care as a form of self-respect, because it's the sort of toxic dieting culture that tells us, well, you can't have that. There's a lot of shame around that, right? That's like very much breeding ground for shameflammation. That's the antithesis of sustainable wellness. The genesis of sustainable wellness is really realizing that you get to do things that make you feel good.
Yeah.
And I said recently on social media that I think is the paradigm shift that I want to say here is that continually eating foods that don't love you back is like staying in a toxic relationship and wondering why you're still miserable. But avoiding foods that don't love you back isn't restrictive, it's self-respect. And that's if you want to talk about the first thing, it's having that pivotal paradigm shift to say, look, oh, I thought it was about all these things I can't have. No. Have whatever you want. But I want people to love feeling great more than they thought they were going to miss something that dimmed their light. So from that place of self-respect, I find people make better choices for their life. Because if they, the analogy that I use in the book is like, if you realized you were a Lamborghini and not an old beat up jalopy, how would that impact how you fueled yourself? Owners of luxury vehicles know how to take care of their car. They don't need to be taught that. They're parking it way in the back. Yeah. They are cleaning it. They're fueling it appropriately. Many people see themselves as the old lemon and not the luxury car. And that's the paradigm shift that I want people to have, because then all the rest falls into place. They don't have to be perfect because they just want to continue to pick themselves up, and their why is bigger than their excuses.
That is such a good point. I'm so glad that you went there, because there are a few points there I just want to unpack for everyone. The first was, you said to start with the headspace. And I think that's really powerful. And everyone who's listened to On Purpose right now is already naturally doing that by being here, is because if you're stressed, you eat badly. And then when you eat badly, you get more stressed and you get inflamed, and then everything else that you're saying, and then you get more stressed. And it's just this never-ending cycle. And so when you figure out what's going on up here, and then you can start changing what's happening here, it's a great way. So I think that was a fantastic point. The second thing that I really took away from that is this idea of self-respect and how we see ourselves. And it took me a long time to recognize what that really meant personally. So I grew up addicted to chocolate. I ate, and sugar, obviously. So I ate a chocolate bar, a chocolate biscuit, a chocolate yogurt, and a chocolate ice cream pretty much every day while I was a kid. Up until when I went to university, where I would eat a chocolate bar and a liter of Sprite every single day. Like that got me through university. And I was healthy and I was lean and, whatever that meant. And you thought, I'm fine. And then you start to see things not catch up with you, but you start to see the impact of certain things. And I think people still have this in there. Well, I just want to have fun. I just want to enjoy life. And I don't want to have to think about this. And I think what's so interesting is what you're saying is that actually isn't enjoyment, because it's damaging. And when you start realizing that the fun you're having is actually not fun genuinely for what's happening inside, you just can't see that part.
Yeah.
And I think that took me a long time to connect that it's not like starving yourself from what you want. It's actually like your body doesn't actually want that.
Yeah.
Which takes so long to kind of fix our mind because we're so conditioned to believe that, oh, I love pizza and I love this and I love that. And it's like, well, you don't. You've just been conditioned through your tastes. Like I always talk about one of my friends, their kids look forward to blueberries and grapes as their reward because that's how they've been brought up. Like for them, like blueberries are like Sour Patch Kids. Right. Like that's their Sour Patch Kid. Whereas for me, it was Sour Patch Kids, which I still love, which are terrible for me. And I still love them. And when I go to the theaters, my wife really has to and so my wife was the one who helped me change my habits. When she met me, she goes, you can't eat chocolate every day. Like you can't have that. She was like, once a week, you can't have it every day. And it took me ages to, and then we got there and then she replaced it with monk fruit. And I used to eat these cacao nibs sweetened with monk fruit. And now I've got to a point where if I'm at home, I don't remove refined sugars from my diet. And it took a long process. And now I found actually when I go back and have an indulgent dessert, it doesn't taste as good to me. And that was a huge journey for me. I was like, oh, wow, it's not. And sometimes I'll still crave like a burger, a really like juicy fried burger. And I'm plant-based, so I'm talking about plant-based burgers. And when I have it, I'll actually not enjoy the feeling afterwards. I'm like, oh, I actually didn't miss that at all. Yeah. And so I don't know if that aligns with what you've been saying, but I was just trying to give a very genuine reflection of dealing with a lot of these vices myself. Absolutely. And I think a lot of people can resonate with that. And like that's that repairing that gut feelings connection that I'm talking about. The gut and the feelings, there's things that were changing on a physiological level when you start cleaning up your diet, eating nutrient-dense foods, regulating your blood sugar, lowering inflammation levels, supporting your gut health. And then also when you make that connection, you go back to those foods and you may not like them at all. I hear that many times for patients and they're shocked. Things that they loved, things that they thought they couldn't live without, they say, I could take it or leave it. Yeah. That's food peace. Yeah. It's like that you're not bound by that food. If you want to have it, have it. But I would just say, use all food as a mindfulness tool. Yeah. Eat it consciously. Did it love you back? Maybe it didn't love you back, but you love socializing with your friends, or it brought you some enjoyment in the moment, and it was worth the payoff of maybe the bloating or the inflammation. Then eat it and move on. Yeah. Shame is worse than any food. Yeah. But maybe you take it and eat it mindfully and realize afterwards, no, it actually wasn't worth it. So maybe next time I'll have less of it, or I won't have it at all because like you said, like cacao nibs and monk fruit, there's so many better options that taste really freaking amazing. Absolutely, yeah. You don't have to eat like a boring rabbit to be healthy. Absolutely, yeah. I've been loving like the Who Kitchen bars as well. They're so good. Like that's one of the sad parts of New York City is Hugh Kitchen closed down. I mean, they had a restaurant. Yeah, I remember that place. Yeah. The pandemic took it out. Oh, wow. But their bars are amazing. Yeah, they're still alive and strong with the chocolate bars. Yeah, their chocolate bars are great. But I feel like you're so right that there are so many other alternatives, so many other places that you can discover new things. And even spending time with friends. Like recently I've been trying to, and of course there's access here and things that are in your city, but I found like my wife, she'll go to a workout class with a lot of her friends and that's like their way of socializing together. Yeah. Or me and my wife will go do a cold plunge together or go find an infrared sauna together or something like that where even doing health and wellness with friends has actually become a fun way of socializing, where it was easy to be like, oh, let's just all go out for dinner, which, by the way, I still love to do. And it's not that we don't do it, but it's the idea of there are so many alternative ways to spend time together where your friendship actually improves too.
Oh, yeah.
Because now you're not just doing dinner and a movie every time. So I think I just think the idea of experimenting is healthy.
Yeah.
Whether you went to a cold plunge and enjoyed it or not, that's up to you. But the idea that you went and tried something new with your friends, I promise you, whatever you do, trying something new with the people you love is going to be a win either way.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And I think that that's a key point too. When people want to start making healthy choices, they're afraid of it changing what they do for fun, or changing their relationships. Like I mentioned, alcohol. Well, if everything I do with my friends is centered around unhealthy food and alcohol, what's that going to look like? Look, if they're your true friends, they're going to be there for you. And I've seen so many people start bringing the healthy food to the party and really being a light.
It's my wife. You're basically describing my wife.
And people are like, wait, what? This is healthy? What the heck? Because it really shifts hearts and minds around this. Or maybe you go to the cold plunge and they thought it was weird at first, but now they all want to do it. People want to feel good. It's just because it's been done over and over again doesn't mean you have to keep doing it. Like, start leveling up and be the leader for your friend group. Because it really...
Everyone thank you in the long term.
For sure. And I've seen whole family and friend groups change because of one person deciding, I want to live a different way. I want to start doing things that love me back.